What's up everyone, welcome back to another video here on the channel Royal Horror. I am so excited to be making this video, to maybe making this review, because Longlegs is probably gonna be the biggest phenomenon of 2024. Everyone is talking about it, horror fans, non-horror fans. You are seeing this movie being shared everywhere on social media, and honestly I'm really happy about it because it's a win for horror nerds. So what a better time to be alive, what a better time to be a horror fan film nerd than when Longlegs is coming out. So I'm really excited to review this film. Let me just say that reviewing this film is gonna be a hard job because this film is very complicated. This film has so many layers that you need to go through, but that's the beauty of horror, that's the beauty of cinema. We can have complicated films such as Longlegs. Now I watched this film on opening date and it had a double feature. I watched this film and I also watched In a Violent Nature. If you would like to hear my thoughts on A Violent Nature, let me know if I should do a review of that film because I really enjoy it. Now with Longlegs, I've seen many people loving this film, I've seen a few people disliking it, but for now this film is standing on a 3.6 out of 5 on Letterboxd and on a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. So it's a huge debut for this film because it's not even a week old by the time I'm making this video. So the fact that it's already standing on those numbers is huge. It also surpassed its own budget. This film had a budget of I think $8 million and it has already made around $13 or $14 million. And again, it's not even a week since its release. So huge pros and huge admiration for the filmmakers and this film overall, because not many films, especially horror films like that are independent or that don't belong to any franchise, can do this. So really huge pros for this. Now Longlegs is written and directed by Osgood Perkins. I really hope that I'm pronouncing that name correctly. He has also made horror in the past. He made Greater Than Hansel from 2020 and he also directed a movie called The Black Coat's Daughter from 2015. And he will also be the director of the newest Blumhouse film for next year, which is going to be called The Monkey. So I haven't seen Greater Than Hansel and the other film, but after watching Longlegs, I'm really excited to go to those films. And The Monkey is like becoming one of my most anticipated for next year. What I like about this guy is that based on his filmography, he's not doing franchises. Like all of his films are original, and that's something that I really admire, that he hasn't really taken the turn of let me go through a franchise, you know. So that's something that I really appreciate. The cinematographer in this film is someone called Andres Norochi, which I've never heard about him before, but after this film I'm really excited in the next project that he's gonna be included. Now as we all know, this movie is starting the iconic, the horror queen, the scream queen, Maika Monroe. Now this is actually her 10th anniversary in the film industry, because we all know she debuted with It Follows, or at least that's what I know. And this girl has been having a lot of good films throughout her whole career. Like I like most of her films, I still need to catch up with a lot of her films, but overall she's an amazing actress. I'm so glad that we have her in horror, because obviously she could just have done It Follows and then go to somewhere else, but I'm glad that she has like stuck with us throughout a whole decade. And obviously it's not a secret that we all know that Nicolas Cage is part of this film, and I think maybe he's one of the reasons why this movie is doing so well, just because he has a huge name in the filming industry. So I'm really happy that he took this role. I'm really happy that he decided to be part of this. We've seen Nicolas Cage in different horror roles in the past, and obviously we all like him. I think he has an amazing career. It's like he's gonna be retiring very soon, so I'm really glad that his last few roles are like horror, especially Longlegs. So yeah, an icon in the genre, an icon for this film. I'm just really happy that we got to see him in Longlegs. I think maybe we can start talking about the positive aspects from this film before we go through the negatives. Well, honestly there are not so many negative stuff that I want to say, so that's a good thing, you know. But when it comes to positive aspects, I think the first one that I want to say is how this movie made me feel. So because obviously this film is not that scary, if that makes sense. Obviously it scares and horror, they come very subjectively. Like we all get scared from different aspects. Some things that make me scared might not make you feel scared. But this film, even though I didn't feel scared throughout the entire runtime, I do have to say that I felt extremely uncomfortable, and I think sometimes feeling uncomfortable is better than feeling scared, because scares, they come and go. Maybe after the movie ends, you might not feel scared anymore, but I felt uncomfortable after the movie ended, and that feeling stuck with me until I arrived home after the cinemas. So huge props for that. And also I have to say that this movie made me feel sad for some reason, because of the storyline, also because of the characters we're gonna go through after. And also this movie made me feel tense, and again, that's an emotion that I do prefer than being scared, because it sticks with you more, if that makes sense. Another positive aspect that I want to give to this film is how it manages to be so unique and so original, despite the concept or some of the characters being a bit cliche in the film industry. So for example, we have a cop, and she's quite new in the FBI, and she's just going through this case of a serial killer and all of that. Obviously we've seen that film before, we've seen this concept before, but somehow this movie manages to be super unique and super original, like something that I honestly haven't seen before. Which brings me to a point that I'm glad that this film gave us something unique for the serial killer subgenre, for the, I don't want to say possessed, but like the religion horror subgenre, because yes, this movie involves religion, but I'm really glad that this movie doesn't surround or relies all of it in religion. And also I have to say that this film is a great addition to the folk horror subgenre. Folk horror is becoming now one of my favorites. I think this year we've been getting so many folk horror movies. The Watchers was the previous one, and I also love that film, 3.5 out of 5. So yeah, and I think this movie, Longlegs, it manages to combine many subgenres in horror, folk horror, crime and horror, combination between thriller and horror, disturbing horror, psychological horror. So this movie manages not to be just one subgenre. Yeah, it is folk horror, but you can also have it as a psychological horror, as disturbing horror, So I'm really glad when movies manage to be so many subgenres without being messy. Also, I do have to say that huge pros for the makeup design, the set design of this film. I think everyone looked fantastic. I think this movie is taking place in the 90s, I think 1997 if I'm not wrong. But I honestly bought it. I didn't even know this movie was taking place in the 90s. I honestly believe this was taking place around 70s or something. But huge pros for the hair department, the makeup department. Maika Monroe, she looks fantastic in this film. I really bought that she was an FBI agent. Also huge pros for Nicolas Cage and his makeup. I think it was phenomenal. He didn't look like Nicolas Cage, he looked so terrifying, so disturbing. That white makeup, his hair, his teeth, eyes, it was incredible. Whoever made the makeup of Nicolas Cage in this film deserves a whole Oscar. I don't know, but somebody give that person an award. I guess we can also talk about the storyline as a positive aspect, because I really enjoyed the storyline of this film. This movie knows how to begin, this movie knows how to end, and throughout the entire runtime I felt uncomfortable, I felt disturbed, I felt tense, and it's all because of the storyline. I love that we go through this storyline with Maika Monroe's character, because obviously she doesn't know anything about Longlegs, she's new as an FBI agent, and the movie makes you feel that with her as an audience. And I really like when movies make me feel that way. You try to discover all of the layers in this film as the movie is progressing with Maika Monroe's character. And I think that brings me to the point of the script. I think the script is also phenomenal. The way this movie manages to have this disturbing character of Longlegs, also Maika Monroe's character's mom, and all of the characters are so well written, and this movie manages to give each character their own time to develop, especially the mom, because we don't really see her that much, but because her character is so rich, we learn so much from her. The same with Nicolas Cage. I think Longlegs might become one of the best villains in the last 5 years, maybe in the decade, when this decade ends. So phenomenal stuff when it comes to the script and the writing. Everyone, and also that brings me to the point of the direction, because this director knew how to direct every single person on set. Like Mecca Monroe, she delivers an amazing performance as this new agent. Her facial expressions are so on point, like the way she moved her eyes, her mouth, her neck when she was like really tense or scared. That's something that is hard to accomplish. Also, that brings me to the point of Nicolas Cage. Again, this guy has been in the industry for like what, 40 years, and I know in this movie he was just listening to whatever the director was telling him to do. And again, because I think making this role as Nicolas Cage, that might have not been easy, because I don't think he has done something like this, because this character was heavy, this character was disturbing, and the only way to make sure that the character is portrayed well is thanks to the direction and obviously the performance, but they need to go hand to hand. Like whatever Nicolas Cage was hearing on set, he was delivering it. So huge props to the director for making this character so real, so likable in a way when it comes to the villain, but like each character makes you feel something different, and that's huge as a director. I think one of my favorite aspects, probably my favorite aspect of the film, is the cinematography. I don't know what to say. Like the cinematography in this film was perfect, and it goes all to Andres. Like the way this movie manages to have 2 decades, because this movie goes throwbacks and in present times, but they all shows a different ratio. So I love that in the past, in the throwbacks, we had the 1:1 ratio. I think that was really clever. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit scared that the movie was gonna be, like the whole movie was gonna be with that ratio, because I'm not the biggest fan of that ratio, if I'm honest. But I'm so glad that when it's in the present time, it's full wall screen. I wonder if the Blu-ray is gonna be wall screen. I really hope so. And that gives a huge personality to this movie, especially because the movie makes you feel part of the movie, if that makes sense. Because for example, the camera, these long wall shots, like you don't have room to breathe. It's all in the screen. There is no black bars above or below. And also there is so many zooms in, like a slow zoom ins inside the houses or in the forest or in the characters' faces, and that makes you feel tense, if I'm honest, because sometimes, usually in horror, when there is a zoom in or zoom out, it's because something is coming, a jump scare is coming, or a character is gonna scream or something, but that doesn't happen in Longlegs, and I think that was phenomenal. The fact that we have a zoom in, and there might be even like a score, like a scary score, and nothing happens, and you just get left like that. And I think that was phenomenal, because those kind of aspects is what made me feel uncomfortable. And I think that was the intention behind the film, to make you feel as Mecca Monroe, because she was experiencing that too. She was experiencing the zoom ins and zoom outs without anything scaring her. So the fact that we feel like her is thanks to the cinematography. So huge claps for that, because that's not an easy job. I really can't wait to check behind scenes from this movie when the Blu-ray comes out, because I just admired the whole production process of this film. Also the lighting, I think the lighting was gorgeous. The use of oranges, yellows, the reds, that was beautiful, especially when Mecca Monroe's character is inside the house and she's going through the signs and the Bible and all of that. Like it really is a beautiful lighting for a horror film. So huge props for that. Also, I do have to say, when it comes to the cinematography, that this movie's the cinematography gives Nicolas Cage's character Longlegs such a huge and big personality, like a scary personality, because we don't see his face that much, at least at the beginning, but we feel the threat he is giving to the film, to the kids, to the victims, and all of that. And again, it's thanks to the cinematography. Like this director of photography, he knew how to give those emotions throughout the lens of the camera, and that's the beauty of filmmaking, when you can communicate a message throughout just the lens. Because if you think about it, when you watch film, all you're seeing is thanks to the lens of the camera. So if, for example, if an intense shot had a weird angle, or like, let's say if we're watching Longlegs, and instead of seeing his face, we're just seeing I don't know, like his whole body in a wild ass location. Maybe you wouldn't feel threat, maybe you wouldn't feel tense, but because this movie knows where to have the angles, where to have the camera, like to the eyes, to the mouth, even to make a small Rose character, you feel all of the emotions that your body needs to feel. And I think that's huge, and a huge accomplishment as a director of photography, because not every film can do that. I also do have to say that I absolutely love the sound design and the score. I think it was so creepy. It was made for folk horror. I think folk horror has one of the best scores or sound designs in horror in general, because it's all about cults, it's all about Satan, it's all about this combination between what's real and what's not. So yeah, it makes my skin crawl when I was watching this film. I was feeling really tense with the score of this film, and also with the sound design. Like the gunshots were crazy. Nicolas Cage's character, the way his body was moving, his bones, his hands, especially in that scene where he's doing that made, like, if you look at my my hands right now, my arms, just by thinking about it, I feel so tense, and it's all thanks to, again, the production process. Like, what a beautiful film we got by Neon. Now, when it comes to the negatives, I do have to say that obviously this film is not perfect for me. This movie is a 4 out of 5, 8 out of 10. So the only reasons why I didn't give this film a perfect score, I think is because some shots and some scenes, they drag, and I don't think that helps the movie. There is a few scenes where we're going through so much history, or where we're going through so many dialogues, and that doesn't really add much to the storyline, or I just felt bored. Not bored, but like I felt like the scene was dragging so much, and I just wanted to see more. I also do have to say that, for example, the family, when it comes to the wife and the daughter of one of the policemen, I think the acting of those two actresses is not the greatest, especially of the child actor. It felt too like unrealistic. Like, I didn't buy that girl was acting that way, and maybe it's because maybe she felt too old, and that also happened in Imaginary. I think the character, she was too old to be playing with those kind of toys, so I didn't really buy this child. And also I do have to say that when it comes to Longlegs, obviously I love that villain, but I wish we saw more of his previous victims as Mika Monroe was discovering it. Maybe she saw a videotape, maybe she sees a VHS somewhere. Like, I wish we saw him more as an active villain, if that makes sense, because that's something we don't really see, and I would have loved to see that more. So those kind of small details is what didn't make me give this film 5 stars, but I was really close to give this film 4.5. So if you think about it, those are like the only negative aspects that I have to give to this film. I don't really have that many, just those. And also, one thing that I forgot to say is I absolutely loved the look or the design of the demon, if you might call a demon. I don't really know. That looks so creepy. That, like, I can't wait to rewatch this film in a really dark room with my sound design. I love that, even though obviously in the cinemas you feel that, but at the same time at the cinemas you might feel safe because obviously it's a bigger space. But watching this film with headphones, that might be such a journey. So like, that character, that creature looks so fantastic. Overall, that's how I feel about Longlegs, and I know this film, maybe upon my rewatch I will think different stuff, maybe some stuff, like some other things will come into my mind as I think more about this movie, because honestly I haven't stopped thinking about this movie. So I really can't wait to rewatch this film. I can't wait to own it, and I can't just wait to rewatch this film as many times as possible, because I think the more times you watch this film, the more you will learn, and I think that's a beautiful thing to do. Also, I do have to say that this film was distributed or produced by Neon, and I think Neon, we all need to keep an eye on Neon, because they might become the next huge horror or filmmaking company, because for now they released what's my favorite horror release of the year, which is Immaculate. Longlegs is standing on my 3rd favorite of the year after Immaculate and Lisa Frankenstein. So yeah, like Neon already gave me 2 out of my top 5 horror films of the year, so that's huge. So we'll need to keep an eye on them. I really can't wait what they are gonna give us next. I think what they're giving us next is this film called Cuco. So I'm really excited for that now. Like, I'm really can't wait for that film to come out. So let me know how you feel about Longlegs. Did you like it? Didn't you like it? And why? I would love to read how everyone is feeling. I really hope you have a nice end of the day, have a nice end of the week, and we will talk soon. Bye bye.